What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Tony Teton West back at it again with my co-host Cam on the Cam and T podcast, man. Episode 6 of season 1, man. My brother Cam, how are you doing today?
Chilling, bro. Chilling. Always, man. Like always. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. So it's you know what I'm saying, get a week closer to football. I think we 13 days away now from the start of college football week 0, and then we about a little less than 30 days from NFL. So we really getting
Yeah.
close. So I'm really just getting excited about the season at this point. So yeah, I'm excited, extremely excited, ready for the season and just ready to really get things going, man. I'm ready for this football season to kick off. I'm ready for us to have like more to talk about and stuff like that because it's kind of weird towards these last couple of weeks of the preseason and stuff like that because it's like, okay, we almost out but we not technically out because there is content there to be had, but it's not as effective as we actually talking about games. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it's just different when we actually talking about real life, games, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. It's we getting close, man.
Yeah,
I'm ready for it, man. It's time. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I feel like that like you said, summer is just tough. You know what I'm saying? When
yeah,
you got that long period between football.
yeah,
Um, you know what I'm saying? So I'm excited for it. I can't wait. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a good season, man, for real.
yeah,
Both
yeah,
college
man.
and NFL.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely excited, man. Listen, if you haven't already, follow us on all streaming platforms, Twitch, YouTube. We're on that. We're on Twitter as well. You can follow us there too. Comment. We're a very interactive show. So definitely feel free to comment, say whatever you want, you know what I'm saying? And also as well, just kind of a rundown, man. This is going to be a really good show. We're going to talk about Bryce Young's debut in the Carolina Panthers, how they did getting shellacked 27-0 at home. Also, as well, just a couple of NFL preseason talk things. We'll talk about kind of some of the rookie quarterbacks struggling, stuff like that. This guy from 247, I think his name is Brad Crawford. He put out a list of the top 16 college football jobs, head coaching jobs. We'll talk about that a little bit and how we agree and disagree. And then we had a little debate. I had a debate with my homeboy D Mill. Shout out to D Mill. He thinks that the 2008 Florida team is better than the 2018 Clemson team, and I just disagree with that. So we'll talk a little bit like about that, and then we'll do our draft like we do at the end of every episode. So once again, just follow us on all platforms. One more thing before we get started. These next couple weeks are going to be busy. Me and Cam are going to be on the road. September the 2nd, we'll be in Charlotte for the USC versus North Carolina game in Charlotte game. They will be there asking questions. So we're excited about that. We'll be out there for that. Also, as well, the next week, literally, that Sunday, no, that next Sunday, so September 10th, we'll be out in Atlanta for the Panthers versus Falcons game. So we'll be out there doing content as well. And then possibly it's not concrete yet, but maybe September 23rd, we may be in Clemson for the Clemson and Florida State game as well. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, that's pretty much that, man. So that's pretty much what it's gonna be. Very good show. And yeah, we'll just jump into everything, man. So let's go ahead and just get this thing kicked off. Let's talk about number one pick, Bryce Young, stepped on the field yesterday, played his first preseason game. Now, as far as Bryce Young, they got beat 27-0. Bryce Young took a couple hits. I think he got sacked once where he almost just pretty much just fell and gave himself up. Um, and the line was just bad. The O line for the Carolina Panthers was horrible yesterday. I mean, it was real bad. Um, Cam, let me ask you about Bryce first. How did you feel about Bryce Young in his first debut as a starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers?
I thought Bryce looked really good, to be completely honest with you, man. Um, it was expected, kind of, with him coming out of Alabama and just his historic career there and everything. We knew that Bryce was going to be ready for the moment, right? We knew he was going to be calm. We knew he was going to be collected, poised, and he just showed everything that should get Panthers fans and really the NFL excited, for like one of the newest quarterbacks coming in because he's going to be special, right? Um, Bryce looked every bit of the part. He was 4 for 6, 21 yards, and like you said, he got sacked once. Um, Now he didn't really throw it downfield much, and I think that was part of the game plan was to be more conservative. Um, but ultimately, he looked good. He played his role very well, in just the three series that he had. Excuse me. He looked a little bit. I would say more in sync with the offense than a lot of the other players did. I think some of the receivers struggled a little bit, and I think, like you said, the offensive line just was not ready. And I don't know if that has to do with the fact that we didn't practice the week before, or the day before because of the weather, and the Jets did practice. I don't know if it was because of that or what, but ultimately, Bryce Young looked the part, and I'm excited for his future as the franchise quarterback for the Panthers. But what did you think about it, man? How did you feel like coming away from the game after you watched it? Because I know you said you watched basically the first half, and you seen all of Bryce, and you seen what he was doing. So how did you feel about it?
I mean, personally, and we kind of talked about this last night in our town hall too. Um, I was impressed with Bryce as far as processing. You see that he's going through his progressions, he's going through his reads. You see that in him, and you see how smart he can make decisions. I honestly didn't really think he had really any bad throws. Just to be completely honest.
Yeah.
And we can't say that about the other rookie quarterbacks, which we'll get into in a few minutes. But he just looked really poised. He looked the part. Um, as far as the team and really overall, it just looked bad, especially the O line. Like it just was really rough. And we talked about this last night, and I can't remember the young lady's name. I think her name was Aki or something like that. I might be wrong, but she brought up a great point. Frank Wright came out last night and said we did not game plan, and most teams don't really game plan for like especially the first preseason game, and if they do, it's very vanilla. So I kind of wonder, and I'm gonna go on a little bit of a tangent here. I honestly wonder, did these guys just say, let's not get hurt? It's 95 degrees out here. We're on artificial turf in the South. It's probably like 105 degrees down here with pads on. So it's probably like 115 degrees down here. Let's just stay healthy. This game does not matter. And let's just get through the motions. And that's kind of what I think happened, which is why I'm about to go on this tangent. Let me just go ahead and get this out the way right now. This is going to be an unpopular opinion. Preseason football in the NFL should be canned. It should be canned. And to be, and I know people gonna be like, well, people got to get jobs and stuff like that. Well, the NFL preseason is a joke. Is a fan, it's a joke. Stick to the joint practices. For
Yeah.
one, with the joint practices, it's more controlled. So that means less injuries, less mistakes. It's more controlled. In a game, pretty much anything can happen. But when you're in a situation where you're running, hey, we're running our 2-minute offense right now, whatever, our red zone offense, it's more controlled. I think the joint practices need to really just become the new preseason games, and we don't need to see that,
Right.
in my opinion, because yesterday you went out there and put your starters out there for pretty much nothing. There was no point of having. If you should have did like the Jets did, just don't play no starters. If you're gonna go out there with no plan, no game plan, no nothing, don't put the starters out there. The preseason is only about money. That's all it's about. We talked about this last night in the town hall. The preseason is about money. That's it. But I will say the preseason is just not good. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And I know people look forward to the dress rehearsal game. They won't even really game plan for that really like that much. It's going to be pretty much the same thing. I don't need to see that. I think a lot of people are overreacting right now because they're like, oh, the Panthers O line looked horrible and oh man, it's a preseason game where they did not game plan, they did not look at film. And for one, let's give the Jets credit. They have one of the better D lines in the NFL as well. So let's not just scoff at that either. But yeah, bro, it's a situation where I don't want to get too upset. I do think the Panthers are missing Austin Corbett big time. I do think he needs to get back as soon as possible or get in Chandler Zavala. The guy that they just drafted out of NC State. But for me, I just can't really overreact to a preseason game that does not mean anything, in my
Right.
opinion. Like it's just hard for me to really get upset about that, in my opinion.
Right. No, I agree. I think, especially like you said, when it's week one of the preseason, nobody's really taking it, overly serious. You know what I mean? Like nobody's game planning, nobody's
Right.
really preparing. Like Frank Wright didn't put the guys out there and say, "Hey, guys, go win this game. Go,
Right.
try super hard. You know what I'm saying? Give it your all. Go win this game." No, he didn't put the guys out there to do that. He put them out there to say, "Hey, go get a little bit of burn. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Get you some conditioning in. You know what I'm saying? Learn how these guys, get your bodies right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Take a few hits, you know what I mean? Like, but don't hurt yourself and just go out there and play a little bit of football, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because the season's upcoming and we need this kind of live test just to see where you are, with your conditioning and with your what I'm saying, with your strength and all of that. So, I'm right there with you. As far as preseason being abolished, you know, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I would like the joint practices, more joint practices,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying, would be cool. And I think fans, either way, fans can still go out there and watch the joint practices, right? You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Mhm.
um with the preseason, like you said, it's about money and it's about job interviews for the guys that are, kind of on the bubble if they're gonna make the roster or not. Um, and speaking of job interviews, man, I did want to ask you too. Keeping with the Panthers game, how did you feel about Matt Corral and and some of the other guys that are kind of bubble roster spots for the Panthers?
Yeah, so I watched up until halftime. So I'm not gonna sit up here and lie and say I watched the whole game because I didn't.
Hmm.
Um, he just looked rough. But once again, that's probably because of the O line. The O
Yeah,
line looked so bad, so
yeah,
it's kind of hard for me to really judge. He does seem to be a little bit more mature this year. It does seem like his body has matured a little bit too as well. It looks like he's put on a little bit of weight. Um, I just don't think this guy's gonna be, you know, the backup for like I know a lot of people like, oh, Matt Corral would be a good backup. I just don't think that's gonna happen, in my
yeah,
opinion. I just don't really see it. Now has time to show me, of course, but I really don't. I don't see it personally.
yeah,
But I mean, I mean, like I said, I don't want to judge him too hard because for one, the O line was just so terrible. It was really even hard to kind of really evaluate him yesterday.
true.
So I don't want to go hard on him too hard, but I don't think he's going to be the future backup for this team. I just don't.
Yeah,
As far as like, I want to talk about some of the guys that were standouts. I'm not gonna lie, I've been pretty hard on this guy. I thought Dante Jackson looked really good in the series he played in. Like
yeah,
he looked really good. Like he kind of got burnt at first, and then he used that speed coming off an Achilles injury. He used that speed, and last year he would have panicked, freaked out, and got a pass interference. No, he turned his head, played the ball, and I want to give him credit because I know I've been hard on him in the past, but I thought he played really good yesterday.
yeah,
So definitely want to give him some credit. I thought Amari Barno played really good yesterday. I was really impressed with him. Even the guy DJ Johnson, I thought he flashed a lot yesterday. And I know I was hard on that pick. I thought that was a terrible pick. I still don't really think it was a good pick because you traded up for a guy that's almost 26 years old and is going into his first year of the NFL. But he did show some flashes yesterday of things I did like. I honestly thought CJ Henderson played pretty good. Another guy I've been pretty hard on. He played pretty good. So there was some things to be like, okay, I like what I'm seeing. Eric Rowe was another one that I thought did a pretty good job. But once again, it's just hard for me to really evaluate in a preseason game. When week one comes, then I'll start really like, okay, I can really evaluate guys now.
right. Yeah, I agree, man. All of the names you said, I think Keith Taylor also looked pretty good yesterday too.
Yeah, Keith
He
Taylor
he
is another.
had
Yeah,
he had a better performance than he did, kind of last season.
yeah,
But once again, like you said, it's just preseason. There's not much to overreact about. I think preseason is a good look at, rookies and what they could potentially be,
mm-hmm.
because I think they're the ones who really kind of get out there and trying to show everybody what they have, right? And
Right,
trying to prove to the coaches and to, even other teams that, hey, like I can be a contributor for a team.
right,
So yeah, I do want to give a shout out. DJ Johnson looked very well.
yeah,
Um, he did a really good job setting the edge. Like you said, Bryce Young looked really good, and then you know, but there were other quarterbacks in the NFL too, other rookie
Mm.
quarterbacks. And so how do you think? So yesterday we saw, well, over the weekend we saw C.J. Stroud play. We've
Yep.
seen DTR play twice now,
Yep.
and we saw Anthony Richardson play as well as Will Levis and a second year player Malik Willis.
Yep.
So out of all those quarterbacks, who did you think did the best out of the ones I just named? Not including Bryce Young, because we know he did probably the best out of all of them. But out of all those quarterbacks that I named, who were you most impressed with in terms of the
DTR.
rookies? Yeah,
DTR was the most I was impressed with.
yeah,
Period. If Deshaun Watson struggles this year, and there's a way out of that contract, I'm not gonna lie, man. Don't be surprised if Cleveland's like, all right, we just paid you all this money and you really ain't doing nothing. If there's I don't know if there is one or not. But if there is, they might try to find a way because DTR looks solid. And
yeah,
that's 2 games in a row now that he's looked very good. I thought Stetson Bennett looked pretty decent last night.
yeah. He did.
He looked pretty good. I watched a little bit of that game and I thought, okay, Stetson Bennett actually looked pretty all right. I thought he looked
Yeah,
really good. So for me, I would probably say my most impressive one that I've seen this preseason is DTR. I think DTR can possibly be a starter in this league one day. He
yeah,
might not be a top tier starter. I'm not saying that, but could he be the 26th best quarterback in the NFL one day? I could see it. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I think DTR has showed me some things I like. Who do you think was the most impressive out of all the
Man,
quarterbacks?
it's a lot of names, man. I think DTR did. He looked the best, I would say for sure. Like you said, Stetson Bennett. I thought Anthony Richardson, I thought he passed the eye test, to be completely honest with you. I know he had that bad interception early, but he also hit, man, it was a beautiful pass to the end zone and it was just dropped.
Yeah.
And it would have been a dime, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a beautiful pass. And I think he actually looked NFL ready to me. He looked more NFL ready than both CJ Stroud and Will Levis, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
I thought Anthony Richardson was very impressive. But another name I was really excited about, um, and he kind of going back and forth between quarterback and wide receiver, but Malik Cunningham out of
Yeah,
Louisville,
he
man,
looks good,
Malik
bro.
Malik Cunningham looked very good playing with the New England Patriots. And I know Bill Belichick was licking his lips because he loved him a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
um, I think Malik Cunningham. I think when it comes to that team and that position group, I just felt like you have three guys who kind of I don't understand. I don't think Mac Jones his leash is very long with the New England Patriots excuse me, to be completely honest with you, because it's kind of already shown that Bill doesn't really trust him. He got benched for a couple games last year for Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi looked really good in the preseason as well before Malik Cunningham got in, who also looked really good. And so you kind of beg the question, like, Mac Jones, other than, kind of experience and, I guess taking care of the football, because we know you can kind of do that. What do you do better than Malik Cunningham? And what do you do better than Bailey Zappi? So I think in New England, I think you're gonna have a little bit of a quarterback competition. It's Mac Jones' job right now, but if he struggles, like you said, if Deshaun Watson struggles, don't be surprised if one of these rookie or second year quarterbacks go in there and take those guys' jobs, because they are
yeah,
looking good. And I think, ultimately the future of the league is looking bright, man. Um, CJ struggled in that first game and the first preseason game. He didn't look ready at all. But that's fine. I mean, he plays for the Texans. It's going to be a long process, regardless. They're not going anywhere this year. You know what I mean? It's going to be a long process for him. Will Levis might be a bad pick from Tennessee. It's not looking pretty at all. He wasn't. He had a couple of good throws, I will say, but at the same time, decision making was always his biggest issue, and it's not looking good right now. Couple years, I think he'll be ready. But Malik Willis, I think he's ready now. To be completely honest with you, I liked what I seen from him. I don't think one of those guys is gonna be out of Tennessee before the end of the year. You know
yeah,
what I mean? They can't keep all three of those guys. They'll probably keep Tannehill because he's the guy. But Malik Willis, I was very impressed with what I seen from him. And then and like you said, Bryce Young, DTR, Malik Cunningham, very well. So I think the league is looking very bright when it comes to these quarterbacks, man.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. Will Levis, yeah, he looked pretty rough yesterday. I watched that. The decision making was once again, which was my thing with him since day one, was the decision making. It continued. Like I know it's preseason, but this has been a pattern for this guy really since
Yeah,
Kentucky days. I think Kentucky actually upgraded at quarterback this year with Devin Leary.
yeah,
Um, the decision making has always been Will Levis. It's been his issue. That's just what it is. Will Levis, I, I don't see it. I just don't see it. I didn't see it in the draft process. I didn't see why he was even ranked as a top four quarterback. I just didn't
yeah,
see it, bro.
yeah,
I just don't see it with him, honestly. And that interception he threw at the end of the game was pitiful. I
yeah,
mean, it was bad. It was real bad.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just and same thing, man. It's preseason, so I don't want to look too much into his first, what I'm saying, game in the NFL. But it just didn't look good at all. And same thing with CJ
no,
Stroud. First game in the NFL, Texans O line is horrible. You know what I'm saying? Besides Tunsil. Um, yeah. So I mean, I don't want to go too hard on them, but like at the same time, they just really did not look good
no,
at all, really. And
yeah,
Anthony Richardson, I have to say, like, I wasn't big on him. But I think what you've seen yesterday has kind of been a micronism of his career, right? Like up, down, up, down. Like he throws that
yeah,
stupid pick at the beginning of the game, and then a couple plays later, he puts a dot on Pierce, and I'm like, okay, that's an NFL throw.
yeah,
So Anthony Richardson is at Florida. He was very up and down, and it seems to be like that is continuing. If he can stay up and stay consistent, he could be something. Because some of
yeah,
those passes he made yesterday, I was like, okay, this is workable.
right,
Like, and I thought he was the rawest prospect coming out of those quarterbacks. But I think if he continues to grind, build, because they're gonna start him, he's gonna be a day one starter the way it's looking.
yeah,
I think he could be something. He just got to get consistent, man. He has all the athletic ability. He's extremely, athletic and stuff like that. Great
yeah,
arm power, strength, all that. You know what I'm saying? But once again, he just got to be consistent. Like that's my biggest problem with Anthony Richardson. But I do think he could be a problem though, coming like going
yeah.
forward. To be
It's
honest,
it's really his legs are 100% ready for the NFL. That's
yeah,
that's gonna be what carries him at least for the early part of his career, maybe a year or two, right? Before, because we already know the arm talent is absolutely electric, right? The legs
yeah,
are electric. We know he got the ability. He can be, one of the greatest quarter. If he puts it all together, he could legitimately be one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Like he has the talent for it. It's just about the mental stuff, right? Can he process the game at an NFL level? And yesterday he showed that he kind of can. It's,
yeah,
it's getting there, so I think this year I wouldn't expect a whole lot out of Anthony Richardson. He probably going to turn the ball over quite a bit, but I think he's going to score quite a bit as well. You know what I mean? So ultimately, I think the Colts do have something that they can build for the future. And my man AB right here, I see it. He says AR has only played quarterback for 6 years. You know what I'm saying? So he's a very extremely raw talent. You know what I mean? And so if he's looking pretty good in NFL preseason football, and he's only been a quarterback for 6 years, since what? That's what his junior year in high school,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
sophomore, junior year in high school. Man, you know what I mean? Like he can be somebody, man. He just got to work at it. And I think he is gonna work at it, and I think he's gonna, be somebody for sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, man. One other thing too, I wanted to say before we kind of move on, I wanted to talk about some of the standouts too, just as rookies, just in general. I thought that kid Jordan Addison looked pretty good the other night ago. I was pretty impressed with him. I thought he looked really good. The guy that's the Giants, I think his name's Deontay Banks. I was pretty
Hmm.
impressed with him too. He looked really good as well. I think he was out of Maryland. I liked him a lot. I liked him a lot in the draft process, but I also think he looks good, man. I'm really impressed with him. Definitely want to see what he does going forward. But those were two rookies that I seen, and I was like, okay, these guys might have something. So
Yeah,
I'm definitely impressed with those two. But I just wanted to give them a shout out real quickly
yeah,
because I thought they played pretty well, honestly,
for
over the
sure.
weekend. So let's go ahead and kind of move to our next subject. We're gonna go ahead and talk about this graphic that was put out actually by Brad Crawford at 247 Sports. And he named out his top 16 college football coaching jobs. So as a head coach, he named those jobs out. We're like 13 days away from college football, so I'm getting really excited about the season, man. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit and what makes a good coaching job? Like what makes a good head coaching job? I'm gonna give you my credentials of what I think is a good head coaching job in the college football, and you can give yours, and then I'll go through the list. For me personally, I think there's three things that makes a good head coaching job. For one, location. Let's just get right to it. Most of the time, if you're in the southeastern part of the country, that's a plus because that's college football world. You
Yeah.
know, pretty much from Louisiana all the way up to almost, I would probably say North Carolina, maybe even Virginia. I would say anywhere in that ballpark, it's just talent loaded through there from really from Texas on over to North Carolina. It's just loaded with talent all in that area. I would also say location is probably number one, location of your school. Number two, to me, is traditions. Uh, how important your program has been, how great your program has been. I think that also plays a role as well. Like, prestige. That's pretty much what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
Prestige. That plays a role in also a great coaching job. Let's just get to the main point. The money. How much money is that school going to fork out to these head coaches? And I would say the fourth thing, and the probably the most obvious thing, is where can I go where I'm going to make an impact and win pretty much immediately if I'm doing the right things, right? So, for example, if I go to Minnesota, I can do all the right things. It's still going to take me a long time to get elite because it's Minnesota. Like, there's not a lot of athletes in that area. There's no disrespect to Minnesota. There's not a lot of athletes. A lot of players don't want to go and play in the cold.
Right.
You got to think about all that type of stuff. So that's what I would kind of consider a good head coaching job. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think prestige is probably number one for me.
Yep.
I think you gotta be somebody, what I'm saying, to get somebody, if that makes sense, right? Like, in my opinion, there's a lot of college football jobs out there. Like I think, well, I won't say any names because they probably gonna be on the list, but I think prestige and where you have been in your history as a college football program, and really where you are right now as a college football program. Because like nobody is gonna remember what you did in the 80s or the 70s or right
Right.
now even the 90s. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I
Like
was about to
we're
say these
looking
kids
at
don't even know what happened in the '90s at this point.
right, we're looking at 2000s and up, man. So or 2000s to the present. So you got to be somebody recently. I think your alumni base is also something that's got to play a part in it. Like if your alumni base is actually supporting your football team and they're actually coming to the to the games and they're there and they're supportive no
Yeah.
matter what, I think that's a good positive as a head coach. Money, as you said, is always probably the biggest thing on a
Yep.
personal level that a head coach should be looking for. Um, because at the end of the day, you got to take care of your family. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
the money, the
Right.
money, the money is really what it's about. And like you said, I think your geographical location, what I'm saying, where you are, your region, if you're in the southeast, like you said, if you're in a state like Florida, Georgia, shoot, even to Texas, even though that's more towards the west. But if you're in a
Mhm.
state like that, you got all the prospects. That's really where the bulk of great
Yep.
football players they come from there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, so I think those are really the main things. Kind of basically what you just said though. It's really about who you are, where you are, and how much you're gonna pay me.
Yep.
So I would say that.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and read off this list because I want you to see these top 16 schools. So these are the top 16 schools that 247 Brad Crawford has put out as the top 16 schools of best coaching jobs for. So let me say this again. Top 16, this is by Brad Crawford. Top 16 head coaching jobs in college football. So number one, he has Georgia. I don't think nobody would argue that at this point. Georgia high school football is elite. It's probably top two and maybe not two, honestly, at this point.
Mhm.
Um, elite. It's a super easy area to recruit. You could literally just go down to Atlanta and just have a field day in Metro Atlanta, and you'll be straight pretty much. So definitely Georgia at 1. I don't think that's surprising. Now number 2 might surprise some people, but it does not surprise me. Number 2, he has Texas. He has Texas as the second best job in college football. Now, for me, I can understand why. They got the money for sure, the location for sure. I'm telling you now, if Texas gets back to being elite, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, your days in Texas getting players are over. It's over because that state is a Texas Longhorn state. If they ever get back to being elite, nobody's going in Texas. Nobody. LSU goes down there sometime, it's over. Nobody's going to get elite players if Texas ever get back to elite. So I can understand why they're at number 2. At number 3, he has Alabama. I don't even need to talk about that. That's just self-explanatory. Number 4, LSU, another one. Louisiana, Texas, Bama, all right there. A lot of talent is in Louisiana by itself. And they're the only big college there, pretty much.
Yeah.
So they're gonna reign there. Number 5, he had us Ohio State. Ohio State's a blue blood. I don't think nobody questions that at this point. They pretty much run the northeastern part of the country. I don't think nobody is going to debate them being at 5. Now,
Yeah.
at 6, he puts USC, Southern California. I absolutely agree with this. They literally run the whole West Coast.
Yeah.
Anything past Denver is theirs, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, at this point, I can't disagree with anything. They run that state. California's a top 5 college football talent state.
Yeah.
I do not disagree. Now, here's where there's a little bit of some disagreements for me. At 7, they have Michigan. And I like that. Michigan's definitely should be like top 10. I wouldn't put Michigan there. At 7, I would put Florida. Because I'm going to tell you why I would put Florida. Florida is loaded with talent. It's probably the 3rd best, maybe even 2nd or 1st. There's going to be some arguments made. Florida, the talent alone in that state is going to skyrocket you if you recruit right, like how Billy Napier is doing right now. He's killing it on the recruiting trail. If you recruit the state of Florida the way Billy Napier is doing right now and hit up South Georgia as well, it's game over.
Yeah.
You can be elite quickly because we know in college football, the main step of this game is recruiting. If you can do that, you can have some real success. I think Florida it should be 7, no lower than 7. Honestly, you can make an argument it can be moved up, to be honest with you. And then at 8, I'm going to put Clemson. I think Clemson should be right there. They've built themselves into a magnificent program. You're 2 hours away from it. You're not even 2 hours away from Atlanta. You're like an hour and 30 minutes away from Atlanta. You're like 2 hours away from the North Carolina area. You're not far from Virginia. You're not far from Alabama, where a lot of talent is. You're not far from Florida. I think Clemson should be at 8, and then I would put Michigan at 9. I think Michigan should be at 9 on this list, personally. That's my synopsis, but let me keep going. So at 8, he has Florida. I already told you I disagree with that. At 9, he has Notre Dame. This is where I go on to a tangent. Can we please stop acting like Notre Dame is a top 10 job in 2023? Stop it. It's not. We're in 2023, dog. If it was 1990, it'd be number 1, probably, honestly.
Yeah.
We are in 2023. Notre Dame is no longer a top 10 job. Let me tell you why Notre Dame is not a top 10 job anymore. For one, kids do not want to go to the cold. Let's just be honest. Kids are going out to SoCal and they're going to the South. That's just the facts. Next up on the list, they have they can't really recruit elite talent because of the academic prestige. A lot of these guys in the trenches and in the hood, let's just call it what it is, that's what athletes at. You got to have a 3.0 as a student athlete to even get into Notre Dame. So say you got a 2.8, that's not horrible, right? Like I don't think that's horrible. That's like a C average mostly, like close to C's. But you can't get into Notre Dame without having a 3.0. So let's get that out the way now. And thirdly, and most importantly, your program has not really been relevant as far as like winning championships since I was not even born. And I'm 20 plus years old. I'm 20. I ain't gonna put my age out here, but I'm pretty close to 30. So that's what I'm saying. I can't really put Notre Dame as a top 10 job anymore. People are still living in the 80s and the 90s, and that's just not the case. Notre Dame is no longer a top 10 job in college football. I don't understand that. Next up, they have A&M. I get that, the oil money, stuff like that. 11, Oklahoma. I think they could be moved up because Oklahoma can recruit in Texas, Louisiana, and they're a national brand. They're blue blood. I think
Yeah,
they can do better. They had Clemson at 12. I obviously just told you I just disagree with that. At 13, they have Tennessee. I think that's reasonable. I think Tennessee is in a nice area too. It's not too far from North Carolina. It's not too far from
right.
Virginia, the Tidewater area. They can recruit that area as well. You're really not even that far from like the Northeast and like Ohio and stuff like that. And they have a really good football scene, Pennsylvania. And you're not too far from Atlanta and in the
Yeah.
South and stuff like that in Alabama. So I definitely think Tennessee should be there. Florida State at 14. I think Florida State should be moved up as well. I think I would put Florida State like 11, to be honest, like 11 or 12. Florida State, same thing as Florida. If you can recruit that state in South Georgia, you're going to have a lot of success. At 15, they have Auburn. I agree. Alabama is completely loaded with talent, but you know who runs that state. You know who runs that state. Let's
Yeah.
just be real here. But I do think 15 is about where I would put them, and then 16, Penn State is what. And I'm gonna be honest. Let me just say this. Penn State has a lot of tradition. They've had a lot of success. Not great success, but they've had a lot of success. I'm gonna be honest. At this 16 position, I probably put Oregon because for one, you have Nike money. You're on the West Coast. Your really only competition as far as recruiting on the West Coast is Southern Cal. So I would probably put Oregon at 16. So let me just run through this again, and I'll let you get your synopsis on it. At 1 is Georgia. At 2 is Texas. At 3 is Alabama. At number 4 is LSU. At number 5 is Ohio State. At number 6 is USC. At number 7 is Michigan. At number 8 is Florida. At number 9 is Notre Dame. At number 10 is Texas A&M. At number 11 is Oklahoma. At number 12 is Clemson. At number 13 is Tennessee. At number 14 is Florida State. At number 15 is Auburn. And at number 16 is Penn State. How do you feel about that?
So I'll be completely honest with you. For me, Texas at 2 is crazy. I don't like
So
it
you
at
wouldn't
all.
put Texas as a number
I
2
would
school?
not put
And, and, and
if I was a head coach, I would stay far away from Texas. And
really,
the reason why I say that is because no matter what you do, you are on the hot seat every single year.
that
And that's
is
why I
true.
could
That
that's the
is
number one
true.
reason I could not go to Texas. And Auburn at 15, I think Auburn is a good like program, but again, you're on the hot seat every single year. And I
And you know
just
you gotta
couldn't
go against Bama every single year. Like it's
exactly.
no and
It's
Georgia.
it's nerve wracking. It's too much going on. You know what I'm saying? You're not giving me enough time to actually build a program. I could not be a head coach at Texas. I think about Charlie Strong. I think about who's a head coach right now? Is it still Steve Sarkisian?
Steve Sarkisian, yep.
And
He's still there.
who was before
Tom
him? When
Herman. Tom Herman. He
it's
was,
you see what I'm saying? Like we done had so
they
many
get rid
head
of coaches
coaches.
down there for sure. I can't
They get
disagree with that.
when I started really watching football, Matt Brown was their head coach.
Yep.
And God knows how many they done had since him. We done had what about 5? And that's
You know, yeah,
in
they had Charlie Strong, they had Tom Herman, they got Sarkisian now. They done had a few
they
for
had
sure.
somebody before Strong, I think. It's
Yeah, they did.
it's
I can't think
it's
of who right now, but yeah.
it's too much. It's not enough stability there. You're not giving me enough time to actually build a program and to do something. Because like you said, recruiting is where it matters
Yep.
in college football. And you have to wait, you have to let me see it out. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you recruiting people, 2, 3 years before they even, get to your campus, right? You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like you gotta let me get these guys that I'm bringing in. Let me get these guys because guess what? As we all know, when we see what happened at Jackson State with
Yep.
Dion, lost all the recruits because they went with who? They went with Dion, right? It happens all the time and in other college football programs. You know what I'm saying? Your head coach might be there and he might recruit you. He gets fired. Now I don't want to go there because I came to play with you. You see what I'm
Yep.
saying? So for me, Texas just wouldn't be number 2. I mean, don't get me wrong. It checks all the boxes: prestige,
Yep.
money, alumni fan base, location. It checks all the boxes, but they just won't give you an opportunity at Texas. So I would drop them a little bit lower. Alabama would probably be number 2 for me. I know the only person I've ever known to be their head coach is Nick Saban. I mean, he's been there my whole life pretty much. But I figured whenever he decides to leave and retire, and when they get their next head coach, I won't say who I think it is, but I think you know who I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
I think he'll be there for a long time. So it's a good job. LSU I think is a really good job too. I think Coach O he stayed there for a really long time, and LSU really wasn't all that good except for that one year that Coach O won that championship. So I think they gave him opportunity and chances, and they given Chip not Chip Kelly Brian um yeah they giving him his opportunities to try
And
and
not
turn
to
the
cut
program
you
around.
off, though, and two, in the last 20 years, every single coach at LSU has won at
Has
least
won a
one ring.
championship. Yeah,
Like Les Miles, he got one.
yeah,
Uh, Nick Saban, obviously, he got one when he was at LSU. And
yeah,
then also as well, Ed Ogeron got one.
yeah.
So definitely I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think LSU they actually give you an opportunity to see your recruiting process out. They let you cook pretty much.
Yeah. Mhm.
Ohio State is a good job to have. I think Ohio State. I think in terms of all these teams out here, I think they're probably the most built off of prestige. I would say
Yeah.
in terms
Mhm.
of you see what I'm saying. Like I think they're gonna get the recruits no matter what. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? They got
exactly.
the
Yeah.
money. They got the money. They got the fan base. They're gonna have it all. You know what I'm saying? Now their head coaches have been a little iffy. But I
Mhm.
would like that job especially if you a competent head coach. That's a good job to have. USC at 6, that's a great job to have. California, Lincoln Riley is going crazy over there. He chose the right. To me, in my opinion, he chose the right thing. He left Oklahoma and with USC, he's making it work.
I'm not gonna lie. When people got mad at him for leaving Oklahoma, I was not a bit surprised at all.
No,
Think about it.
no.
Like, he's coming from Lincoln, not Lincoln, excuse me. Is it Lincoln,
Uh,
Oklahoma? I don't know where.
it's Norman.
Norman,
Yeah.
Oklahoma. Excuse me. He's going from Norman, Oklahoma, where you have to battle against Texas A&M, Texas, all those Texas schools, and even a little bit of LSU too in there.
Mm-hmm.
To where now
Mm-hmm.
you can go to Southern California, a way better place to like live if you're rich. And then you're not really recruiting against anybody. You
Right.
are the team on the West Coast. I'm telling you, I go to me, I go to LA all the time. Nobody cares about nothing out there at college football wise besides the Trojans.
Yeah.
Fact, UCLA is not they don't Oregon. I mean, they got the Nike money, but they don't. Them kids don't care about that out there.
Right.
I'm telling you now, USC, that they got it. They got the West
Yeah.
Coast on lock, bro.
Yeah.
So I personally feel like he did the right thing by leaving.
Oklahoma. Yeah.
Oklahoma. Yeah, for sure.
For sure. I mean, like you said, it's just a USC once again, prestige, right? They
Yeah,
got Heisman winners. You know what I'm saying? Like who you all you got to do is just show the lineup of Heisman winners that you got and just say, hey, you could be the next one. You know what I'm saying? Like, God, they done had Liner, they done had Bush, they done had Caleb Williams, and probably a plethora of before them. You know what I'm saying? So just give me I like USC there, man. He said, bro, I went to LA. AB said, bro, I went to LA. I ain't seen not one person wearing UCLA stuff. It was all USC. See
that's
there? There
how
you
it is
go.
out there, bro.
There you go. There you go, man. It's the prestige, man. Um, at 7, Michigan. Eh, I mean, I I don't know, man. I mean, yes, kind of. They have the prestige,
Yep.
but I I don't know. I don't know if I would take that job over the job over the other jobs that's on this list. Now, for me, I do have a team that I think should be a lot higher.
Mhm.
I will say these coaches have probably been on the hot seat, so I'm kind of contradicting myself a little bit. But I think, in my opinion, I think Florida State should be a lot higher on this list. In
Yeah,
my
I
opinion,
agree. I agree. I
I think
agree.
Florida State should be a lot higher. I think
I agree.
I would probably, to be completely honest with you, you might disagree with this, but I would probably put them over Clemson on this list
I
too.
would. No, I would. I'd
Yeah,
probably put them over Clemson as
because
well, probably. To be
I you
honest.
just in you just in a prime spot. First of all, it's Florida.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You got perfect weather, right? You know what I'm saying? You got the kids that want to go down there, right? You're not far from much. You're not far. Tallahassee ain't far from Atlanta. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? You can get down to Miami. You can get down to Orlando, Tampa. You know what I'm saying? You can get over to Jacksonville. You're not far from none of that.
You can even
You
get
know what I
out
mean?
to like the Texas area, not too
You
bad
get out of
either,
Texas.
and
Yep. You can get out
Louisiana
of
and stuff.
Texas, NOLA. You can get all. You can do all of that. And as a head coach, you just in a prime spot. You can recruit in Georgia.
And
You
you
can
know they
recruit in
got the
Alabama.
money too. Florida State
Yeah,
got the
you
money.
got it. You got it all. You got the alumni base. You got the prestige not only from your championships and not only from your Heisman winners, but the fact that you got all time NFL greats, all time college football greats that can just come back at any time. So I think Florida State really could be top 10 on this list, man. I would probably put
I
them.
agree. I
I
agree.
personally would probably put them at 7 on this list, in my opinion.
I would definitely put them above Michigan for sure,
Yeah,
and probably
I
even
got.
above Clemson. Honestly, to be
Yeah,
real.
I would for sure. Florida's probably next for the same exact reasons. You know, I
Same,
mean,
yeah.
it's
Mhm.
yeah. They got title prestige and they got more recent prestige, I would say, than Florida State
Yeah.
does. Well, Florida
Well,
State do
Florida
got
State
that
won a championship
2013.
in
Yeah,
2013.
that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. So
Florida ain't won one in a while.
that's right. So yeah, I would say I would put Florida State at 7. I'll probably keep Florida at 8. Notre Dame dropping pretty far on my list.
Yeah,
I would put I'll probably put Clemson at 9. I would keep A&M at 10. Um, for basically the same reasons that you said. I would probably put Tennessee at 11, to be honest with you.
hmm
Because I think that's a really good job to have, especially right now. Like I think Tennessee's program, they're in a really good spot. Like they had a very good year last year. You've got a lot of talent that has come through there, and have been drafted recently. Last year specifically was just an amazing year for that program. So I think that'd be a great job to have, and that's what I say. They was at 11. I
yeah,
will put so I would slide Oklahoma down. I had them at 12. I would slide Auburn up to 13 because I think Auburn's still a solid job. And then I
hmm
would probably put Michigan and then probably then Notre Dame. So that's gonna be what 14 and 15. And then
15.
see that 16th spot, man. I don't know. I don't know if I would take that Penn State because it's always something going
Bro,
on there.
I told you they wouldn't make my top
Yeah,
16.
it
Oregon
wouldn't
would
be on
be
my
mine
list. Yeah,
personally.
I think Oregon's a good spot. I think you can put Oregon, you can put freaking probably put Washington there over Penn State. You can put Wisconsin maybe even. I
Yeah,
mean you put another SEC school in there, I'm sure.
yeah,
Um I
yeah. I don't
North
think Penn
Carolina.
State should be on this
Yeah, I
list.
don't I don't know, man. I don't really I like I said, for me, I just don't like that job simply because of what happened in the past. You know what I'm saying? And what seems to continue to happen. Something's always coming out of Penn State. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
It's always
That's
something.
one of the reasons I would have them on my top 16
Right.
personally.
And for me, it's also another one of the reasons why I wouldn't want the Michigan job either. Because these last couple of years with their head coach, he always talk about leaving, going, he making his own NCAA sanctions. I don't understand that. So I don't know if I would want that job either, but yeah, I would probably put somebody else in there in that 16th spot. I just can't think about who right now, but yeah, it wouldn't be. They wouldn't show wouldn't be no Penn State though. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, bro. I wouldn't. I think Penn State's probably at like 17, 18 for me. They're probably right on the outside looking in. But for me, Oregon would be my 16
Yeah,
personally. The
Oregon.
pressure's
Yeah,
not that high. You out in the West Coast, your really only competition recruiting wise really is USC, honestly. I think
yeah,
for me, they make the most sense as far as like just recruiting talent and the money and even the prestige. They've been to a couple of one playoff and they've
yeah,
been to a national championship in recent history.
yeah.
So
They've been a two.
for me, yeah, they've been to two. So that's what I'm saying. I would definitely
Yeah,
put them, a little
yeah.
closer. In my personal opinion, I would.
I agree. Now Now one team I will say that didn't make this list, and I'm surprised didn't make this list, but I'm glad they didn't make this list
Mhm.
is Miami.
Yeah,
Because I wouldn't want that job in my opinion.
I agree.
I'm surprised they didn't make the list, but for the same reasons why I said for Texas and Auburn, you're on the hot seat every single year, man. It can't be fun, bro. It
Yeah,
can't be fun. Everybody talking about you
that
gonna be the
fan
one to
base
bring
is
us back.
nuts too.
Yeah, it's too much pressure, man. I understand if you's a you know what I'm saying if you one of them head coaches that can come in and turn the program around, but it wouldn't be for me, man. It couldn't be for
Yeah,
me.
Nah, I agree. I 100% agree.
But
Um, let's jump into the last thing of the day. And I know we did a poll on Twitter. It was me and D Mill. Shout out to my guy D Mill. He's a Florida fan. Matter of fact, AB is a Florida fan, and he in here. I put out a video which y'all have probably already seen already of my top 5 college football teams of all time. At 5, I had Nebraska, 95. At 4, which was the most controversial one, I had 2018 Clemson. At number 3, I had USC 05. I do not care if they didn't win the national title. That team was absolutely stacked. At 2, I had the LSU team in 19. And then at 1, obviously, the U, Miami 01. And a lot of people saying, well, how's Florida 08 not in there? Ooh. And, first I actually asked AB. AB was like, 08 Florida need to be. And I agree. 08 Florida was the elite team. Percy Harvin, Tebow. I mean, that was a super elite team. They definitely deserve to be in the top 10, even top 6 or 7, honestly. Like, I don't think they should be any lower than like 7, honestly. They were really good. But I went on and said I think the 2018 Clemson team was better. For one, they didn't lose a game. They blew out and absolutely obliterated Alabama. And I think a lot of people forget in 2018, that 18 Bama team, people were kind of hyping them up like the LSU 2019 team. Everybody was, I think people forget that. Everybody was saying this is the greatest team of all time. This team is the greatest team of all time. They're great. The wide receiver core was Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy. I mean, the Patrick Surtain was on the team. It was just a loaded team. And Clemson routed them completely.
Wasn't even close.
It was never even close after like the second quarter. And I think a lot of people forget about that. Now, don't even wrong, that 08 Florida team was tremendous, especially on defense. They were good. I think a lot of people forget how good that 2018, Alabama team was. If they win that national championship, they're probably up there with the LSU team, honestly.
Yeah, they
as
would have
far
got
as like how elite they were.
yeah,
Like
they would have got that respect that people ain't giving Clemson. You know what I'm saying? They would
bingo.
have got that respect that ain't nobody giving. I think for me, when it comes down to, between those teams all the time, there's no way to really say one team is better than the other because it's different eras. It's
Right.
really it's a whole 10 years between there, right?
Mhm.
But I think when you really look at it, Clemson, like you said, we just went 15-0.
Yep.
There's no the first team in freaking college football history to go 15-0. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Like nobody did that before us, and what two teams have done it after us right now, but
Yep.
still, we was the first. You know what I'm saying? And we beat a nasty Alabama team. People were saying that was the greatest
And that
defense
Notre Dame
they've ever
team that
had.
year was good too. I know we just slandered them, but that Notre Dame team was like really good as far, especially defensively. They were really good that year, and Clemson absolutely routed them boys.
I mean, we destroyed pretty much every team that year. You know what I'm saying? And people forget that was a freshman quarterback that we did it with too.
Bro, the only close game we had that whole entire season was the Syracuse game when Trevor Lawrence got hurt
They
with the
knocked out.
concussion. Besides
Yeah,
that, Clemson won every single game by 14 plus points. They annihilated everybody.
yeah.
Everybody.
Just
They annihilated.
it's one of the
And,
most
and,
dominant
and, did, and
teams
went to the
that you'll
playoffs
ever
and
see.
annihilated everybody there too.
Yeah. Just straight up ran through everybody, man. So that's why I said people forget. And when you look at the team, and when you look at like
I think,
all the
go ahead, my bad,
the
sorry.
no, I was gonna say when you look at all the primary contributors, where are they now?
Right.
In the NFL.
In
They in
the
the
NFL.
NFL. You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? Like they primary contributors in the NFL. A lot of them star
Correct.
players. Christian
Right.
Wilkins, star defensive tackle. You know what I'm saying?
Dexter
Travis
Lawrence.
Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, Dexter Lawrence, all of them. You know what I'm
All
saying?
of these
Like,
guys are contributing, and
yeah,
probably most stars. T. Higgins.
yeah.
I
T.
mean,
Higgins. You know what I'm saying?
it's
Justin Ross.
yeah, Justin Ross. Now he was
Like,
like he's going to be a contributor. Like
yeah. It's straight up
for
squad.
yeah,
Offensive line, some of the offensive linemen in the league. Like he's
right.
like
And we
we
never had
all
a
over the
heck of
field.
lineman. But
Exactly.
even some of our O linemen from that team are in the league. So that's why I
Yeah.
said, for me personally, like, and I think a lot of it, what I was about to say was, I think a lot of it is just SEC bias, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
let's just be honest. Like, oh, well, they played in the SEC and da 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 da. Like, that's why we putting them like. And some people told me that, like, yeah, it's because they're in the SEC. But I'm talking about as far as talent wise. I think that Clemson team was better than Florida personally.
Yeah.
That team was loaded. Like Florida had Percy Harvin, one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play college football. Tebow, you could argue, might be the best quarterback to ever play college football. You know what I'm saying? They had Janoris Jenkins that year. They had I think the Spikes kid, Brandon Spikes. They were loaded, bro. Like, they, don't get me wrong, they were loaded. But when I look at Clemson that year, bro, it was so much talent on that team that is, like you just said, now in the NFL contributing in that Florida team. How many guys they had contributing? As far, so the Pouncey twins, definitely they was contributing. I think Aaron Hernandez was on that team too. You know, rest of dead and all that. You know, he was a contributor. Joe Hayden was on that team, I believe. He was a contributor. They had some guys. Don't get me wrong. That team was, you know what I'm saying. They had some players, but I just don't. When they got to the NFL, who really had success, like besides Joe Hayden, right? Pouncey twins, Tebow. I don't want to. Tebow didn't have no success in the league, bro. Y'all ain't about to do that to me. Like that. That ain't. Janoris Jenkins had a pretty decent career, but he was
Yeah,
never
he did.
considered like a top 5 or 10 corner or nothing like that in the NFL. None of their guys really, like, no disrespect, none of their guys really contributed heavily on NFL teams. Literally,
Yeah.
almost every name we done said on Clemson has contributed on a team, and some are respectively like the best or top 10 in the league
Yeah.
right now. Like Trevor Lawrence, I think he's a top 10 quarterback in the league right now. AJ Terrell, he's a top 10 corner in the league right now. T.
Dexter
Higgins,
Lawrence is top five defensive tackle.
Dexter Lawrence might be number 2 right now.
Yeah.
As far as,
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like Christian Wilkins, he's a top 10 edge rusher in the league right now. Like, bro, what are we doing? Like, it just, to me, it don't equate. It's all about the talent. That was based off the talent. And I think if you really look at it, Clemson was more talented than that 2008 Florida team. Like,
Yeah.
that's just the fact that we looking at talent. That's how it was going for me, at least. And that's not even me being biased. You know me, I keep it real. Like, I'm not one of those biased. Now, Carlos Dunlap, shout out to AB. Carlos Dunlap was on that team, and he's had a pretty good career in the NFL. No cap. He's had a pretty good career. But once again, was Carlos Dunlap ever considered a top 5 or top 10 edge rusher in the league his whole time there? No. Like, he never has been. He's had a good career, but he's never really been, like, you know, even when he was in the league, he never was really a huge contributor. I think everybody we just named really that played for Clemson, I think the only one that kind of flopped from that team was Clelin Ferrell, probably.
Yeah.
That's probably the only one that I can really think of. Everybody else on that team that was like in the NFL, they're contributing now. And I think Ross is going to contribute this year. I mean, they saying he might be wide receiver 2 or 3 out there with the Chiefs. So that's what I'm saying. So that's
Yeah. I agree, man. I'm right there with you, man. Like you said, I don't know too much. I can't go too far back, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't even remember 2008 Florida team to be honest with you. But I will say that Clemson team was something to be it was special, man. And you know, that SEC bias is nasty. We see y'all.
That's what's
we not
happening.
That's what I'm saying. I ain't fooled by none of that, man. That SEC bias is crazy. But yeah, it's whatever though, man. You know, they gonna hate anyway. They they was hating on us after we won the championships. I ain't even worried about it, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, what it is. But,
Well, let's go ahead and head into our last thing of the day. And we do our draft every single week. Me and Cam are drafting our top 5 receivers in the NFL right now. Now, Cam and me, we tied last week. Last week we tied. So I'm gonna Cam got off the losing streak at least. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got off the losing streak. He ain't losing no more. But I think Cam is now like 0-3 or something like that. I don't know. But now we are going to be drafting We are going to be drafting our top 5 wide receivers. I'm gonna let Cam go first because he technically didn't take a L. You know what I'm saying? I went first a lot. So I'm gonna let Cam go first. Cam, we're doing our wide receiver draft. NFL currently, right now. Who is your number one choice as best wide receiver in the NFL right now?
I ain't even gonna waste no time. Justin Jefferson, you already know. Got to get the best wide receiver in the NFL, man. We need to talk about one day. We're gonna talk about the Minnesota Vikings and how they keep getting these elite all time great wide receivers. Justin Jefferson is easily the best wide receiver in NFL. Who
Yeah,
is your
I
number
mean,
one pick?
yeah, that was my number one choice. I mean, it really
Yeah,
wasn't even really a question. I don't even think
yeah,
that should be a question at this point. I think it's definitely by far, in my opinion, I think it's definitely him at this point. So for my number two choice, and really, I feel like you can't go wrong here. But at my number two, I still think it's Devontae Adams. I think
mm,
Devontae Adams is just a baller. I think because this new system he was in, and the quarterback, let's just be real, Derek Carr just really wasn't that good. I think I wish he was still with Aaron Rodgers, pretty much is what I'm trying to say.
yeah.
But I think he is still one of the best route runners. When you line up against Devontae Adams, you know you in for a long day. You know that you're going to have to game plan for Devontae Adams. Give me him at number one.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Devontae Adams is, I mean, he's a beast, bro. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? He's still producing with, excuse me, Derek Carr, and probably still gonna produce with Jimmy Garoppolo. So
Jimmy
yeah,
Garoppolo too. Yep.
absolutely. Now I'm actually surprised that you didn't take this guy with your first pick. Devontae Adams is a great pick, but for me, because he was gonna be my first pick if I didn't pick first, but I got Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
And
I was thinking him.
yeah, in my humble opinion, Tyreek Hill gonna make the Hall of Fame
Oh yeah, for sure.
because
Yeah.
this man has never missed an all pro team. He's never missed a Pro Bowl. All right. I mean, even going back to his rookie season, I mean, we thought that he was a product of that Chief system for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Went to the Miami Dolphins and ended up putting career highs, and I believe in yards and catches. Like Tyreek Hill is the truth. He's one of
Yeah.
the fastest players in the league, and he's proven that he's a great route runner, and he's legitimately a game changer. Like the
Yeah.
Miami Dolphins were good before him, but now they're literally probably one of the best offenses in the NFL just because they had Tyreek Hill. So he's my number two overall pick.
For my number two overall pick, I'm going to take Buffalo Bills Stephon Diggs. Last year, he had
Woo!
2+ catches. He was really just really good, man. I think he had like over 100 receptions last year. I think he's a really good wide receiver. Give me him at number two for my pick, Stephon Diggs.
I like it. Diggs, one of my favorite wide receivers. I was definitely gonna take him next if you didn't.
Yeah,
I love Diggs, man. He really he really special, bro.
he is.
For my number three pick, I'm torn between two guys, but I'm gonna take Jamar Chase,
Yeah,
Bengals wide receiver. I think Jamar Chase is just I mean, he was just a stud ever since his rookie season, man. He's been I mean, you think about that LSU team that we was just talking about. They had both Jefferson
Justin Jefferson
and
and
Chase.
Jamar. Yeah,
I mean, Jamar Chase came into the league and just looked absolutely phenomenal. Um, Words can't even describe, man. He's definitely my number three pick.
yeah. So at my number three pick, man, and this might be an unpopular one. I know he had a bad season last year, but I still think Cooper Kupp is that guy. He
Yeah,
was elite. He just went triple crown just a year before last. I think he is probably a top, you know what I'm saying, 5 wide receiver right now. And I would put him there at my number three spot. I would go ahead and take Cooper Kupp.
yeah. Cup would have been my next pick. He
Yep.
was hurt last year. I hate that for him, but to me,
Yep.
in my opinion, I think he had the greatest individual season a wide receiver could
Yeah,
ever
he
have.
did. Yeah,
He
he did.
he had a triple crown and Super Bowl MVP. He going to the Hall of Fame too. He a legend.
Yep.
All right. Well, my third, what? No, what I'm on? I'm gonna pick four.
Fourth. Yep.
With my fourth pick, man, I'm gonna try to turn some heads with this one, man. With my fourth pick, I'm gonna take AJ Brown for the Philadelphia
Okay,
Eagles.
nah, that's where I was gonna go. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Okay.
don't even gonna
Yeah. I'm
say
gonna
it.
take.
Yeah, That's a good
I'm
pick.
a yeah, I'm gonna take AJ Brown, man. He was phenomenal last year, man. He proved it to me. I thought he was a little bit iffy in Tennessee, but I
Mhm.
realized it wasn't because of him.
Yeah,
Like that
right.
was, you see what I'm saying? Like,
Quarterback. Yeah.
yeah. AJ Brown is a special wide
Yep.
receiver. A crazy elite what's it called? Combination of size, speed, hands is there, route running. I mean, the league isn't lacking on wide receivers. So I got AJ Brown with my fourth pick.
That's a great pick. I think for my number 4 overall pick, I have CD Lamb, man. I think CD
Mm,
Lamb is really good. Last year, he really busted onto the scene. I think he had like 13 plus 100 yards, 9 touchdowns, over 100 receptions. He's elite, man. Like at first, I was like, man, I really don't see the hype about CD Lamb. And then last year, he showed me like
yeah.
he like that. I will go ahead and put CD Lamb as number 4 on my board.
Okay. Well, my fifth pick. Ooh, this tough. You know what? I got it. With my fifth pick, I'm gonna take the guy always been productive. You know what I'm saying? No matter who the quarterback is, he's still gonna be productive this year. Yeah, I'm doing it. He's
No,
still going.
damn,
Yeah,
you're about
I'm
to
doing
win
it.
this draft, bro.
He's
Do not
he's
do this.
still productive. I got Newt DeAndre Hopkins,
Oh,
one of
okay.
the best
Oh,
wide receivers. You thought I was
whoo.
taking some? Hold on, who you thought I was
I
taking?
thought you
Hold
were
on.
about to take DJ Moore, bro. I was about to pass
Oh
out.
no,
I
no, 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 no,
was
no,
about to be
no,
like, no way
no.
he's doing that.
I got Newt. Listen, Newt
Boy,
should be
you
in the Hall of
scared
Fame
me,
too.
man. I'm not gonna hold
Yeah,
you.
Newt should be in the Hall of Fame too, man. He's always produced. Had an elite year last year and missed 6 games due to suspension. He's gonna be great at Tennessee this year. DeAndre Hopkins, man, you catch everything. You you just that dude, bro. So I got DeAndre Hopkins with my fifth pick.
Yeah, that's a good one. For me, I think I'm gonna take at my number 5th pick. So I'm torn between a couple of guys. Um, man, I'm torn. So I think for me at number 5, I'm going to go the other wide receiver in Miami, Jalen Waddle.
Yeah,
Jalen Waddle, the speed is just ridiculous. He's got the speed. I think last year he had a really good year as well. You know, opposite of I think last year, yeah, here it goes. He had 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, 75 receptions, which is crazy. On
yeah,
75 receptions, you had 1,300 yards.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
sick.
yeah. He's
Eight
special, man.
touchdowns.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jalen Waddle definitely has to be on my list at number 5. And yeah, that's where I'm at with it. So for you, you had at number 1 Justin Jefferson, which is I think that was great. At number 2, you had Tariq Hill. At number 3, you had who did you have at number 3 again? I'm trying to make sure.
shoot, that's a good question. I had Jamar Chase at 3.
Jamar Chase. Yep, you had Jamar
Yeah,
Chase. At 4, you had AJ Brown, and then at 5, you had
New Hopkins.
yeah, Nuke Hopkins. And then for me, I had at number 1, I went on ahead and took Devontae Adams, and then at number 2, I went ahead and took who did I take it to? Hold on. Stephon
You,
Diggs. I took
yeah,
Stephon Diggs at 2. Then I took Cooper Cup at 3. At 4, I ended up taking CD Lamb. And then at 5, I ended up taking Jalen Waddle. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I actually think you won. I'm not even gonna cap. I think this is your
I,
first dub. I
I
really
like
do.
your
I'm not gonna
list.
cap.
I,
I think it's your first dub.
it's tough, man. Because I ain't gonna lie. Because the funny thing is, if we had a did this like last year before entering last year,
Mm-hmm.
I think you would have won. Because Adams was top of the world, Cup
Yeah.
was top of the world, and
Yeah.
did to me. Because the reason why I did this week, because I'm actually looking at a list that I made 2 years ago,
Yep.
and you actually have three. You have my top three in Adams, Cup, and Diggs on your
Yep.
list. Um, but man, listen, that Justin Jefferson pick, bro, that was really gonna go a long way. You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's
Justin
tough. It's
Jefferson.
tough.
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
so by far the best wide receiver right now. It's
it's
kind of
tough,
hard to
man.
even. It's kind of
Yeah,
even hard to even compete with that
yeah.
because like I said, he's the best wide receiver right now. And I don't think nobody's questioning that at this
Yeah.
point. Like
And
nobody
see,
is.
nah. And see, the thing about it is too, like when you look at it, wide receiver is so stacked in the NFL, bro. Because
Yeah, it
it's so
is.
many names.
Like we
It's
left
so
out
many.
guys like Terry McLaurin. Like he
We
didn't even
left
make
out
the
Terry
list.
McLaurin, left out Mike Evans, left
Yeah,
out Keenan Allen. Excuse me, Keenan Allen. DJ Moore is another name you probably could have threw in there. Chris Godwin, DK Metcalf,
Yep.
Mike Williams, T Higgins.
Lockett,
Shoot, who else? Lockett, man. God, shoot, you got the young guys, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. You know what I'm
Garrett
saying?
Wilson.
Like
Yep.
it's a lot of names. Shoot, the league is so stacked on wide receiver, man. You really can't go wrong. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, this was a good one, man.
Definitely.
Once again, bro. You know what I'm saying? Great pod. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Y'all let us know who y'all think won. Y'all know what to do. Just vote. We'll put it out sometime this week, and
Yep.
y'all can vote. But once again, T, great pod, man. Great pod.
Yeah, definitely, man. Great pod today, man. Love y'all, bro. Once again, just want to give a quick update, man. Once again, we're gonna be on the road this year, man. Y'all know how we do. If we on the road, we won't be dropping a podcast like this. We'll just be out there filming content. So I'm just gonna give y'all a rundown again. On September 2nd, so with Labor Day weekend, we'll be in Charlotte for the UNC versus South Carolina game in Charlotte at College Game Day. We'll be down there asking people questions and stuff like that. So we'll be out there for that. Then the next week, so we're going to probably go 2 weeks without being on here on the pod. September 10th, we're going to be in Charlotte. We're going to be in Atlanta, excuse me, for the Panthers versus Falcons game down here in Atlanta. So we'll be at that. And then the 23rd, possibly, we're going to be in Clemson for the FSU Clemson game to, you know what I'm saying, do some interviews and some content work up there, possibly. I don't know for sure yet, but possibly. But yeah, great pod, bro. That's really, I just wanted to give that rundown so people could kind of know what's going on. But we're gonna
Yeah,
be on the
man.
road a lot this fall, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited.
This fall, man, be on the lookout for us, man. We gonna be out there. We're gonna try to get up there to a Panthers game too.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
we can, if
yeah. I
we
plan
can,
on
if
getting
we
to a
can
Panthers
make that,
game sometime
yeah.
this
If we
fall.
can make that, so but yeah, man, y'all keep supporting. We appreciate it,
Yeah,
man. We appreciate all the love, all the
yeah,
likes, all the retweets, all the feedback too. Keep
yep,
keep, you know what I'm saying? Like if you got something that you want to say to us, you know what I'm saying? Like something that you think we can do to improve or something that you just enjoy us doing, you know what I'm saying? Let us know. We appreciate
yeah,
all the feedback that we've been given. We take
yeah,
it into consideration, you know what I'm saying? I love it. I love getting feedback because I think that's how you kind of improve because we don't know, you know what I'm saying? We gonna
yep,
keep doing what we doing, So
right.
we definitely appreciate the feedback. Keep showing love and as always, it's fun, bro.
Yeah,
We're gonna keep
people
it
in the
going.
group chat already saying Cam won this one. Yeah, I think you won this draft, bro. I'm gonna be honest. We're gonna
Hey
still put the
man,
vote out,
it's
but you might
yeah.
get your first dub this week, bro.
I
It's
hope
looking
so,
good.
man. I hope so,
Yeah,
man.
me too,
It's
Justin Jefferson. That's why I kind of wanted you to go first. I'm like, he gonna get a dub this week because he gonna take Justin
it's
Jefferson off. Yeah,
it's a long time coming, man. I need. I was down, boy. I was down. I was God, 3-1, bro. I need that. Hey,
yeah.
hey,
So
this a lesson for everybody out there. Y'all remember what was that? The 2014 Panthers when we was
yeah,
when we was
yeah.
what was our record that year, man? We was like we
It was
finished.
bad. It was like 1-4, 1-3, something like that. It was pretty bad.
It was something crazy, man. Because we ended up finishing 7-8-1. I think that was the year before the Super Bowl, right? Wasn't
Yeah,
that
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 was
year?
getting for Super Bowl. It was bad. They got off to a real bad start.
Yeah, man. That was crazy. But yeah, man. I'm excited for next week, man.
Yeah,
Excited.
definitely excited, man. Like I said, really after next week, you guys, we're going to be in the clear because that following weekend, college football will be played.
Yeah,
Um, USC is playing that weekend. I think Notre Dame is playing that weekend. So we'll actually have games to talk about
yeah,
the weekend of the 26th.
yeah,
So yeah, next week is really going to be the last week of just kind of free falling. Next
yeah,
week, really it, and then we're in the clear as far as content. So we're super excited. We appreciate y'all, Cam. If you don't have anything else, man, we're gonna go ahead and shut this down. But we do appreciate you guys, love and support as always. Peace, love, and hair grease, man. To everybody, y'all have a good week and stay productive.